Before we begin this evening's video address, if you're not already subscribed to this YouTube channel, go ahead and hit the subscribe button now, along with the bell icon so you can be notified whenever a new video is posted. And if you're already subscribed, check and make sure that YouTube hasn't unsubscribed you. And of course, be sure to give the video a like. The white supremacists hate that. Now, that said, you can tell that the efforts to try to drown out and attack the new voices of black media has kicked into high gear. They are trying to find what Jason Johnson calls an antidote to all of this black empowerment speech. What they really mean is an antidote to the growing leverage and the growing influence of the new voices of black media. That's what this is really about. The irrelevant bootlicks who white media's been putting on cable news, they're realizing, yeah, you're talking, but nobody's listening. In my last video address, I told you about how there was this group calling itself WinBlack, who was trying to put together a blatantly naked propaganda offensive and trying to use LeBron James as basically their stalking horse, not even their front man for it, but just trying to use his name as a way to signal boost this propaganda effort, which basically is nothing more than vote blue no matter who. They don't say what it is black folks are going to get. In fact, they're not saying to vote for Joe Biden. This is nothing more than ignore those black media folks, all those angry black folks online. Ignore those people. Just ignore them.
This year we're playing to win. 3 things to know. 1. Sometimes good people have bad information.
That wild meme your uncle sent you with a conspiracy about COVID and mail-in voting, it might be from Moscow. No joke.
What you can do, fact check the family chat, but do it with finesse.
2. You don't need a ref to see that not everyone is playing fair out here.
That Twitter beef about Biden's Democratic plantation by Spicy Black King 411,
it might not be real. You could be talking to a bot or a paid troll. What you can do.
Ignore the internet gangster. Only fight with your teammates.
3. Register, then vote. Early if you can. Let's go. Stay focused, stay winning.
Under review, a partnership with More Than a Vote and WinBlack.
Now, I told you, beware of these organizations that you never heard of, with people who you never heard of, who have no track record of doing anything for black folks. That's how white supremacy works with its unlimited resources. You can have some on the left, you can have George Soros, or on the right, you can have Sheldon Adelson, billionaires who can afford to float money to some clowns, or they can get some black personality or even some celebrities to go ahead and endorse their little propaganda campaigns. Beware of these people who are running around trying to figure out what's the most blackety black name we can come up with. We'll call it WinBlack. We're going to put black in there. That's what these guys try to do. And a lot of black folks see, oh, if you say WinBlack, that must have something to do with us. No, you got a white hand that is puppeteering these black sock puppets to do their bidding. And that's what WinBlack is. Some do-nothing shell group like Black Lives Matters, like She the People, a front organization, what happens to be a white power front organization with some people of color as their flunky frontmen. And this little propaganda offensive that they have begun, this is just the latest example of what is underway because of the threat that what the new voices of black media are doing poses. We've changed the conversation. We have begun to make headway in our mission, which was to take control of the social and political discourse within the black community. Black folks will start taking their cues from us and stop taking their cues from the white media's paid bootlicks. We have watched as one by one they have fallen. Roly-Poly Martin, Mark Lamont, you big dummy Hill, Goldie Taylor, Melissa Harris, Lacewell, Stubenberg, Round the World in 80 Days, Von Harris Perry, Lacewell, whatever. We've watched these clowns have fallen off. Made irrelevant. Yes, by us, but also by you because you're listening to us and you stopped listening to them. So now it's a matter of we gotta launch an all-out offensive against those black media types. Because too many black folks, clearly too many black people are listening to them. And now we have seen that WinBlack was not operating in a vacuum. This is part of an organized offensive. They begin their little campaign and the rest of the white media on cue picks it up and signal boost it and make sure to push it as hard as they can. And they made it very clear that they were not going to leave any doubt as to who it was that they were talking about. They couldn't have been more clear if they had named me and TBA and Tariq by name. They definitely were taking blatant open shots at Ice Cube. Now, these guys, their ads do not say what black folks are going to get from voting for either candidate. It's not about what black folks are going to get. It's just a matter of you need to vote. Ignore those people who are telling you that something has to be in it for you before you vote. Ignore those guys. Those guys are bad guys. They're trolls. They're Russian bots. So just ignore those guys. The white media, of course, is not doing anything to ask any questions about where these guys are getting their funding, to ask who is behind them, what their goal is, how legitimate they are. It's nothing more than the white media legitimizing this, because this is not about either of the candidates. It ain't about the Democrats. This happens to be a matter of taking shots at the new voices of black media and the influence that we're having. The stuff that you're hearing Ice Cube and others say, we've been out here keeping these home fires burning for over a decade now, and what we've said has grown and grown and grown. When they give their phony, fake sympathy for, this is about black men, so they're targeting black men. Oh, no, they don't give a damn about black men. These are the same individuals who do everything that they can to ignore what black men have to say, unless what that black man is saying is in agreement with and promotes the interests of white supremacy. Now, we're going to take a look at MSNBC's puff piece for this WinBlack organization. We're going to dissect it and show you exactly how this little bit of propaganda works.
You might have recognized the voices of Jesus and Mero. That was part of a collaboration with LeBron James' effort, More Than a Vote. As you heard, it's called Under Review, a new rapid response operation aimed at flooding the zone, as they say, with facts in order to counter political misinformation targeting black Americans, black voters.
Before I go in with my analyses, I want to bring your attention to the fact that this white woman says, flood the zone. LeBron James, they're trying to flood the zone. I told you about that. That's a phrase you heard me say, but look at what they're saying here. This is not about actually trying to inform black people. This is about trying to overwhelm the message from the black media. Flood the zone indeed. And look at what the world they did with the hip hop music and such. This is nothing more than the basketball equivalent of get your booty to the polls. This is what they think about black voters, especially young black voters. Look at how condescending this is, how insulting this is. They would never go up to young Asian voters and try to pander to them like this. They would never come up to them with this patronizing garbage, this insulting nonsense. They wouldn't go up to young Jewish voters. They wouldn't go up to young white voters with this garbage. Wouldn't go up to young Latino voters. Not like this. When they come up to those other young voter blocks, they come up to those guys and they talk like they got some sense. They talk about the environment. They talk about abortion. They talk about the economy, education, healthcare. That's what they talk about these other groups. Black folks, on the other hand, when they show up, we're going to play to win and make sure to ignore those black media types. No talk about issues at all. In other words, when it comes time for a serious conversation, which is what politics is supposed to be about, what voting is supposed to be about elections is supposed to be dead serious, they don't come up to us talking intelligently. As far as they're concerned, an intelligent conversation? These are black voters we're talking about here, buddy. They don't care about the issues. Just go ahead and put some NBA guys in front of them, a little bit of hip-hop music, throw some slang their way, and they'll just be putty in your hands. This is how they come at us. This is how they see us. And they want us to listen to this garbage. The damned insult. But this is how they think they can approach young black voters. Because, they're just a bunch of simple-minded goofballs. A bunch of kids in the hood don't know any better. They don't come up to young black voters and say what the interests are. They don't come up to young black voters and say, here's what you're going to get. Here's what you should be demanding. Here are the tangibles you need to be fighting for. And you can tell, just like with Kamala Harris and her cringe-worthy Cardi B dance, you can tell that some clueless white millennial with nothing but contempt for the black community dreamt this crap up. This propaganda ad, this is not aimed at adults at all. It talks to black people like we're children, because that's how they see us. This is the kind of thing that you would put on for a 12-year-old. Not for an adult with adult responsibilities looking to deal in the adult arena. This is put forward for somebody who they think has a childlike mentality. This is what you have white power aiming at black people and trying to get some black faces to sell us on and tell us ain't nothing wrong with it. That ad is insulting as hell. It does not come at us as mature political actors with real stakes in the election, with real interests that are at stake. They don't come at us like that. They could care less about what our interests are. This is about dictating to us what's in our interests and talking to us as if we're a bunch of kids, some dumb kids. As far as they're concerned, we aren't doing serious conversation, not when it comes to black folks. This is what the level of the conversation was when it came to politics in the black community before the new voices of black media started speaking. This is an attempt to drag us backwards, set us back over a decade. The mission of the new black media, as we defined it over a decade ago, was to take control of the social and political discourse within the black community and to elevate the debate. Elevate the debate, to elevate the conversation. You see anything elevated about this? This is some of that Roland Martin crap. This is trying to drag us back to make the conversation as simple as possible, simplistic as possible, as stupid as possible. This is a reminder of what the tone and tenor was of political discourse in the black community before we came along, and how the white media is putting millions of dollars behind trying to drag us backwards. Now remember, what you just saw was an attack on us. They know that we've got influence. They know that people are listening to us. We were the ones reaching out to those young black people who now the white media and their black bootlick flunkies are pulling up the rear, desperately trying to figure out how do we appeal to them by just flooding the zone with as much money as possible, which is what this is about. This is a matter of they're going to try to play the game of if we use our superior white supremacist resources and use a couple of those athletes who we've used our media to make prominent. If we do that, hopefully that will drown out what these angry black folks online are saying, because that's what they think is going on here. They think this is a matter of, oh, if you bring in Ice Cube, then we're going to try to bring in somebody who's got more star power, somebody with more star wattage, if you will. But look at what it is that they said in this propaganda piece. This year, we're playing to win. Who the hell is we? What's this we stuff, you bootlick? We are playing to win. Win what? What the hell am I or any other black person going to get out of a victory for Joe Biden? We are playing to win. So they start off making the presupposition that, well, you're supposed to be on our side. We're playing to win. Sometimes good people have bad information. Yeah, good people do sometimes get bad information, and 99% of all bad information that good people get is given to them by the white media, like MSNBC. Now, when it comes to something like that, they put up a graphic saying COVID-19 is a hoax, 5G is the killer. That's supposed to basically set up a straw man. And a distracting straw man is actually very clever when you think about it. Because they put up a graphic that's meant to make you think, oh, if somebody's trying to tell you that COVID-19 isn't real and 5G is somehow killing people, you know, that kind of wild conspiracy corner nonsense. They're trying to make a false association. We're talking about the record of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and how trying to say that somehow these guys are better than Donald Trump. That's a distinction without a difference when you actually look at their records on race when it comes to black people. There is no difference between Joe Biden and Donald Trump, except for the fact that one of them has orange skin. But that's what they're setting up here. The graphic is meant to make you think, oh, they're talking about COVID-19 and the conspiracy theories online. But when you look at the words that were used, sometimes good people have bad information. This is a very clever way to sneak up on what it is that they're trying to say. They're talking about us. Oh, these black folks, if you see somebody who's saying that black people should not be voting unless there's money on the table in it for them, you know, a lot of people have been posting that. And well, you know, sometimes good people have bad information. If this ad was actually about COVID-19 and all sorts of conspiracy theories, that's what it should be about. But it wasn't. They were talking about us. But they start off their propaganda piece with a straw man argument, one that's meant to immediately get you on their side and get you to start nodding your head in agreement. Okay, somebody's trying to say COVID-19 is not real. Obviously, that person is a crackpot. They don't know what they're talking about. Okay, and now that you're nodding your head, now it's time to start the false association. Because the very next graphic that they put up, they say that wild meme that you got from your crazy uncle, it might have come from Moscow. Yeah, except when they put up the headline, which looks like it comes from the Washington Post, the thing says black voters are being targeted in disinformation campaigns, echoing the 2016 Russian playbook. That article had nothing to do with COVID hoaxes and 5G killing people. It had to do with if black folks are being told that they need to demand something for their vote. So you see, they start off with something that's meant to mislead you, bait and switch. So now they got you nodding your head and going, oh yeah, that's crazy, COVID-19 being a hoax. Okay, we can agree, that's all, but that is some conspiracy corner nonsense. But then they immediately link it to, well, it probably came from Moscow. And they're starting immediately about us and what it is that we're doing, telling black folks you better demand something for your vote. So right out of the box, they're trying to link two completely unrelated things. You have never heard any of the new voices of black media, especially not the leading thought leaders of it, say that COVID-19 wasn't real. You ain't heard nobody say a damn thing about 5G anything. This is stupid talk, but that's the whole point. You start off with a ridiculous, absolutely absurd premise, and then you say that anyone who's saying that Joe Biden is not on the side of black people, they're no different than those conspiracy corner crackpots that you see posting all sorts of stupidity online. Now that they've done that, the very next thing that they say, they start telling you what to do. Fact check the family chat. Oh yeah, well now they want you to basically recruit yourself to be their little watcher. You get to be keeping an eye on these Negroes for massa. Fact check the family chat. So when you got folks in your family who are sending messages, or if you find out anything, make sure you check out the Facebook feed of your family members. Keep an eye on your family members. Hey, you know, speaking of Russian propaganda, that's what the Soviets used to do. When Russia was under the control of the Soviets, the Soviet Union, the communists, that's what the Russians would do. They would tell people to make sure to keep an eye on your family members. Make sure that they're not out here being sympathetic toward the Americans or toward these capitalists or toward the bourgeois. You make sure you keep an eye on your family and let us know what's going on. They're telling you to become an informant against your own family members. This is the ad that this WinBlack is putting out there. This is real plantation stuff here. You want to know why it is that virtually every rebellion and revolt in the United States by our ancestors was ultimately a failure? Is because you always had a couple of Negroes who were keeping an eye on the slaves for massa. And we still see it today. Fact check the family chat. Man, they couldn't be more blatant with this stuff. This is an ad that LeBron James' name is attached to. This is what WinBlack is about. We need you guys to spy on your family for us. Yeah, when Joe Biden said, I need you to take my load of bull, my policy plan, take this to your community. You need to take this to your people. That's having the game ass backwards. He's supposed to take our agenda to Washington. Instead, he comes to us and says, take my idea to your people. You need to be taking this to the black community. And this is exactly the playbook that these guys are operating out of. Fact check the family chat. Yeah, well, when you fact check what it is the black media is saying, you find out the black media is on point. We got the facts. WinBlack does not. That's part of the reason why they don't say anything. They don't actually disprove anything that we say. They don't even discredit what we say. What they say is, ignore it. Don't listen to those guys. In fact, that's what this entire MSNBC piece is about. Nobody actually disproves anything that we say. Nobody actually says all of the stuff that Joe Biden has done for black people. Instead, what they say is just don't pay attention to those guys. It's the Russians. It's bots. It's paid trolls. Now, there's your conspiracy corner crap, by the way. Check the family chat, they say, but do it with finesse. Yeah, they're trying to finesse something all right. You got the big birds and you got the Angela Rise with lettuce and tomatoes on the side, And you got the rest of these bootlicks over at WinBlack and She the People and other do-nothing organizations. They're trying to finesse themselves a White House gig or a staff position with some political figure or other. That's what these guys are trying to do. Oh, there's a finesse going on, all right. But look what they're saying. Fact check the family chat. In other words, spy on your family members. We need you to be our watchers, our eyes and ears. Anybody talking that pro-black, black empowerment stuff, demand something for your vote. We need you to keep an eye on your family and make sure that none of them are listening. And if they are, we need you to step in and get their minds right. But make sure you do it with finesse. Be very gentle about it. You want to be very clever. Do it with finesse. Yes, be very sneaky about it. Be very clever about it. Like a snake. Next, they get to the point that they've been trying to make. This is where they start to wrap things up. This is where they start to make the major connections. Because now that they've gotten you nodding your head, and now that they've thrown in the whole Russia line, which even without them having to substantiate anything, they're like, well, we've already had the white media say enough about Russian interference in the 2016 election. Don't worry about the fact that the Democrats failed to galvanize black voters because they didn't put a damn thing on the table. It must have been the Russians. Now that they've done that, they've creeped and tiptoed up to what they really want to say, what the real subject of this propaganda hit piece is, of this propaganda ad. It's the black media. Now they're through nibbling around the edges. Time to come up the middle and start talking about us. It doesn't take much to see that not everybody is playing fair. Well, what do they mean by not playing fair? Well, if anybody's telling you that Joe Biden, and they mention Biden by name, they make certain mention Biden by name. Anyone who's trying to tell you that Joe Biden's got a Democratic plantation, folks, Joe Biden is a racist. I don't give a dang what kind of wording you want to use. That is not up for debate. Joe Biden's anti-black bigotry is not a point of contention. It's a proven fact. Joe Biden used his time in the Senate to pal around with segregationists, to fight for every law and every stance that he could that would try to exclude black people from whatever formal opportunities exist. This guy made it a point that he was going to fight to turbocharge the prison industrial complex. And you notice that these clowns at WinBlack never address that. They don't actually say what Joe Biden's done to help black people. If you're going to be saying that anyone who criticizes Joe Biden is a bot or a paid troll, then don't you think you ought to substantiate that? See, that's what the real point is. They're linking the ideas. Now it's time to come to the point they've been trying to make, what they really want to get around to saying. You see anybody saying that Joe Biden is not operating in black people's interests, it's a bot or a paid troll. So far, they've had the three things they wanted to say. Russians, bots, paid trolls. Hey, these people who are online telling you that Joe Biden has been an anti-black racist for 50 years. These guys are there. You can put them in the same category as those conspiracy corner memes that people kick around from time to time. It's all coming from the same source. It's all the same people. Russians, bots, paid trolls. By the way, notice how they haven't substantiated that. They cannot present you with one paid troll who is saying that Joe Biden wrote the 94 crime bill, that Joe Biden co-sponsored the 86 Anti-Drug Abuse Act. That was the law that created the 100-to-1 sentencing disparity between crack cocaine and powder cocaine. They haven't produced even one paid troll. Oh, they talk about how Twitter found some people in apparent Twitter, Facebook, or whomever blocked some people who they believe are in Russia doing this, that, and the third. They're not talking about those guys. They're talking about us. And they're going to make that very clear. Because they're talking about black people here. Where are the bots at? Where are the paid trolls? Have you found one of these paid trolls? Found a paycheck stub? Have you found somebody who's getting rich off of this? Where are the paid trolls? Where is your proof? You cannot say these are paid trolls without proof, can you? Sure you can. Under white supremacy, you can go ahead and say whatever the hell you want as long as it promotes white supremacy's interests. Black people demanding something for their vote, that is diametrically opposed to white supremacy's interests, so get out there and lie. Just go ahead and say, oh, they're paid trolls. The people who are saying that Joe Biden has been using his position in the Senate to attack black people for 50 years, they're trolls and bots? Is that true? It's true that we said it. So who's operating more like a bot or a paid troll? Because you see, the new voices of black media, we're not being paid by Russians or really by anybody else. Ice Cube didn't get out here and say what he's saying because somebody's paying him to. But I can tell you right now, this WinBlack organization, you know they got some money behind them. The folks behind this, you know they're getting paid. And the white media's putting its heft behind this. There's major money trying to make sure that this anti-black media message is put in front of as many eyeballs as possible. So here are your paid trolls, and you can see who's paying them. Next, it's time for them to go in on Ice Cube. Now that they've broken the ice with their little message and made some false associations, and now that they've taken some pot shots at the black media, now it's time to go in on what you've been seeing recently, because that's what this is about. They know that you've been seeing what's been happening recently, especially with Ice Cube's name attached, which has gotten some major attention. So now it's time to tell you, ignore the internet gangsters. Ignore the internet gangsters. Yeah, you can't say ignore the internet gangster rappers. So instead, I guess to them, this is what counts as being careful. This is what counts as being tactful for these mental midgets. Ignore the internet gangsters. Yeah, they couldn't be more clear if they had said Ice Cube. Next, they have two babies that most people have seen that viral video where you have the black baby and the white baby run at each other in the street and they hug each other. And both of those children, by the way, are raised by homosexuals. By the way, that's not my opinion. That's a fact. You go watch the videos and then they do the interviews with the fathers of these children. And it's a bunch of homosexuals who were doing this basically as a way to show, oh, you know, gay parents teach their kids to be so tolerant, etc., etc. I mean, it was blatantly obvious what they were trying to say. And of course, everybody loves babies, but this is an ad aimed at black people. So when they show you two adorable babies, they make sure, though, one of them's white, because that's the point of their message. If you're going to be fighting, you need to make sure that you fight only with your teammates. Well, I suppose if they had said fight only with your allies, that might have been a little bit too on the nose. So they show a black baby hugging a white baby and say fight only with your teammates. Yeah, see, your teammates aren't other black people. This is what WinBlack is putting out there. It couldn't be more obvious that they're a sock puppet organization for some shadowy white group who's got these clowns selling the soap for them. Fight only with your teammates. Yeah, those black people who are telling you that you've been politically ignored, you need to ignore them. Don't listen to those guys. Those black people who are telling you that your vote is precious and you should not be spending it on anyone or anything unless there's some money on the table. Don't listen to those guys. You need to fight only with your teammates. Those people who are telling you that Joe Biden has been fighting against black people, well, or telling you that you need to stay out of voting until there's actually something in it for you, those aren't your teammates. You need to ignore them. Fight only with your teammates, and your teammates are white. That's what this message is. That's what they're trying to get across. Don't listen to those black people online who are telling you what's in your best interest. Instead, listen to the good white folks who have produced so much for you the last 50 years. 3 strikes, street harassment propaganda, the playground to prison pipeline. Oh yeah, those teammates have done so much good for the black community, especially Joe Biden. See, he's one of your teammates. He's one of your teammates because those people online telling you that this guy is no different than Donald Trump, those guys are not your friends. They're not your teammates. Fight only with your teammates, and your teammates are white. So from Thursday to yesterday, you see how quickly this is metastasized. You see how quickly this propaganda offensive has escalated. And what the heck is LeBron James' name attached to this for? Ice Cube has made it clear what it is that he stands for and who he stands for. Now, LeBron James, and he's done some good work recently. It took us a while of working on him to go ahead and put a spine in him to do it. But the thing is, LeBron James has not taken any policy positions, not real ones. He's not gotten out there and said, here's what it is that I demand. So what's the point of putting LeBron James' name out there? Well, LeBron James, he endorses this, or LeBron James' name is attached to this. It's attached to this. Yeah, well, what's it attached to? What ideas is it attached to? Vote, vote, vote is attached to vote. Ice Cube is saying, no, my name's going to be attached to specific policy positions. I ain't telling my people to vote. I'm telling my people, you vote when something's on the table for you. Whole world of difference. Two completely diametrically opposed messages. You don't just show up on election day and do what you're told. A slave does that. A boss looks and says, hey, we're going to do business. Let's do business. So this is no different than having Michael Jordan endorsing ballpark hot dogs or Coca-Cola or Wheaties or whatever. It's just a name endorsement meant to get some attention, and that's it. But after they go ahead and show the propaganda piece, now it's time for the real attack to begin. As Professor Noam Chomsky put it, one of the main ways of trying to shape the social mind is through propaganda that gives a pass to one side and attacks the other. They're not asking any questions about, hey, anybody know where WinBlack's money is coming from? Who are these people who are behind it? There's no attempt to actually investigate or look at these guys. Instead, it's right on, right on. Yeah, you guys are absolutely right. Oh, well, let's laud these guys and how great they are. They're not doing what they did with Ice Cube. With Ice Cube, it was nothing but an attack. It was an interrogation. Same way that they treat black people who are killed by the police. The police kill some black person, they talk to the police, and it's, oh, what did that nigger do to threaten you guys? Because you're the good guys. They talk to the families of the deceased, and it's an interrogation. Well, so-and-so, he wasn't a good guy, Well, the police say... They don't come up to the police and say, hey, how many black people have you killed this year? You guys keep claiming you're going to have police reform and you're going to do something, but the body count only goes up. Hey, this cop who strangled Eric Garner, he had been sued multiple times for racial profiling and police brutality. Why was he still on the force? Derek Chauvin, whose third-degree murder charge, by the way, has been thrown out. They went ahead and threw, the judge is already doing the white supremacy is already hard at work through the judge, making sure, we're going to have to reduce some of those charges against him. We got to get rid of some of those charges. Well, guess what? Derek Chauvin had a number of complaints against him. He took part in another killing of a black man just a couple of years ago. But the white media doesn't ask any of the police about that. They don't do that. It's always, the slant is always, well, we got to make sure people understand that the black person who was killed, they were the perpetrator here. They make certain of that. And people pick up on that. When you have the host of the show doing nothing but interrogating and impugning the integrity of one side and giving a pass to the other, that sends a clear message to the audience. Okay, this is who apparently the media wants you to believe are the reasonable good people here. They can get that across without even having to say the words because of how they treat them. You bring someone in, you make it very clear, you guys are lying. We don't believe what you have to say. You guys, you need to answer for this, That's what happened next. Talk about the right tool for the right job. They bring in some former congresswoman who ain't done a damn thing for anybody. And they bring in Jason Johnson because it's black men who they are trying to silence and invalidate.
But he's out there talking about issues instead of a candidate. So I like the fact that he is tactical and ideological about this, not making it about Joe Biden, but making it about black people showing agency in a problematic system.
You got Jason Johnson using equal parts truth and lies. Yeah, it's true that WinBlack, he claims LeBron James didn't write that crap. WinBlack and their white handlers did. They did not make it about Joe Biden because they already know that Joe Biden is radioactive with black voters, especially young black voters. Yeah, that's an argument you don't win. So you don't make it about Joe Biden because they don't like Joe Biden. So instead, make it about issues. Did you hear any issues? You hear any issues, folks? Because I sure didn't. But this is what Jason Johnson says. They didn't make it about Joe Biden. Yeah, because you're sitting here trying to get black folks to go to the polls, but that's the main thing. Well, when you get to the polls, hopefully, just by law of averages, they'll go ahead and vote for Joe Biden. Hopefully. Just don't say Joe Biden because they don't like Joe Biden. This is all about sneaking up on black people and trying to trick us into doing what they want.
There's been so much effort to suppress the black vote, in particular the African-American male vote, that LeBron and George Paul and all these other players, they recognize that they have to be the antidote to people like Ice Cube and 50 Cent.
And the rather foolish Dr. Johnson says there's been so much effort to suppress the black vote, especially black male vote. Stupid. The only thing that can suppress the black vote is a lack of enthusiasm. If black folks want to get out there and put in their vote, for real want to put in that vote. I mean, go hard body in the paint to put in that vote. We proved on two separate occasions, 2008 and 2012, if we really want to get out there and get to those polls, ain't nothing going to stop us. You ain't got enough Proud Boys and Adam Waffen and other white supremacist trash to suppress the black vote if we for real want to get out there. Oh, you got this white woman here talking about flood the zone. If black folks want to flood the zone with voters, we can do it. What happened is black folks started demanding after the Obama years, we voted for this guy because he kept alluding that we were going to get something. And we didn't get a damn thing. Except for the white supremacists running roughshod over us, and Barack Obama signs that damn blue alert executive order. He didn't sign an executive order to punish the police for harming black people. Instead, he signed an executive order to try to boost the police's confidence that the federal government is backing every murder that they carry out. Send the message loud and clear to the police unions. Oh, we see all the murders of black folks and we're on the police's side. We're on the side of the thugs with badges. You notice how Jason Johnson won't say anything about that. Are the Republicans up to their usual tricks? Of course they are. And they did the same thing in 2008 and 2012. This is no different than any other election year. Yes, the Republicans are out there doing everything that they can, trying to throw every conceivable roadblock in the way of black voters. And they do it every 2 years because that's when the election cycle comes up at the federal level. Every 2 years. They do it every freaking 2 years. They're going to do it in 2022 and 24 until the Republicans eventually burn out. It's asinine for these bootlicks for the white media to be pretending as if they're bringing us earth-shattering information. Horrors! The Republicans are trying to stop the black vote. Yes, they always do that. They do that every 2 years. And guess what? If black folks for real want to turn out, the Republicans can't stop it. This is actually about silencing us. This is about trying to get black folks to ignore us because this election is going to be a referendum on whether or not black people meant what we said when we told the Democrats, you know what, we're sick and tired of this game of we keep voting and you don't bring us anything. We're sick and tired of both political parties coming up to us with lip service. We're taking our ball and going home. And this is about trying to tell us, well, there's something wrong with you demanding anything. Notice how at no point does Jason Johnson say, you know what, the Democrats have not stepped up with tangibles. The Democrats haven't done anything for black people. Joe Biden's record is atrocious and reprehensible, and Kamala Harris's is just as bad, if not worse. He doesn't actually say what Joe Biden has done that's right. Joe Biden was mentioned in that propaganda piece, but Jason Johnson doesn't even mention that. He pretends like he didn't hear it. Oh, but what he did here was, you can't listen to Ice Cube. We need an antidote to Ice Cube. Well, Ice Cube is saying that his people should get something for their vote, and it should be tangible. And Jason Johnson's saying we need an antidote to that. Well, their antidote is, let's see if we can find some black celebrity who's more higher profile than Ice Cube. We need somebody with a higher profile than him, more name recognition, more star wattage. This is not about getting black people ours. This ain't about us getting ours. This is instead about how do we pacify black people and put up a glittering distraction. It's a damn shame that LeBron James, after the good work that he did in the summer, he's allowing his name to be attached to this distraction campaign. See, this is the reason why I tell you got to be careful about following behind black celebrities. The code is what you follow. But as far as suppressing the black male vote, the biggest suppressor of the black male vote has been Joe Biden. What do you think happened when he put the 94 crime bill on the books and offered the state $13 billion if they would change their laws at the state and local level to be in line with what Joe Biden wanted? Because all the states after the 1960s, they all put the Jim Crow 2.0 on the books. They made it where all the states said, well, if you get convicted of a felony, then we revoke your right to vote in this state. And then all the states immediately started going after every black person they could find for anything. If they accuse you of jaywalking, that's felony jaywalking, you know. If you're a black person who they accuse of littering, that's felony littering, you know. If you're a black person who's walking down the street, that's felony walking down the street, you know. And that's what they did as a legislative maneuver to make it a paperwork process to strip black people of the vote. They just come at you with any asinine charge, claim that it's a felony, and then say, well, now you can't vote. You're a convicted felon. And who was it who turbocharged that state practice and put billions of dollars behind it? Joe Biden did. He was the one spreading hysteria that America was under a crime wave and the vile Negroes were on a rampage, and you got to change your laws. You got to be tougher on those niggers. We're going to make it where everything's a felony. Yes, which means that everything will be used to disenfranchise black people, particularly black men. All of those black people, especially black men who are being locked up on all of these felony charges that Joe Biden helped to subsidize and incentivize through billions of dollars from the federal government offered to the states, those are black people who are removed from the voter rolls. You look at Florida and see all these black people, all these black men trying to get their right to vote back. Yeah, but who was it who incentivized those states to take away black men's right to vote in the first place, to wage a war on black men's right to vote? Who was it? Joe Biden. There's your voter suppression right there. There's all those black votes taken away right there. See, this is what tools, the incompetent operative class like Jason Johnson, this is the part that he leaves out. Attacking black people is a bipartisan issue. He tries to make it seem like, oh, that's just a Republican issue. Nah, Democrats and Republicans are both on the same team when it comes to attacking black people. See, they believe in only fighting with their friends. The white right and the white left believe in only fighting with their friends, except there ain't no black baby in their minds when it comes to fighting with their friends. Their friends are all white. Jason Johnson's sitting here trying to tell you that apparently there's some sort of difference between the Republican and Democrat stances on that. No, they're both playing both ends against the middle against us. We're the middle. But this is what they're trying to do. Do not think for a moment that WinBlack and the white media, that they're not working hand in hand. They set up this little message that nobody would have heard of if the white media hadn't signal boosted it. USA Today was helping out, you know. And then you got MSNBC giving their kudos to it, giving it thumbs up, and trying to pretend like this is news. So you have one of the fingers of the left hand of white media's propaganda putting together some little anti-black media hit piece. And then you got the white media picking it up and reporting, oh, look what we found here. This is newsworthy. They invented this news piece. You got to recognize when the white media is inventing news pieces. They created it, and now they're covering it as if it came from a third party when it actually came from them. But the real topper for me was Jason Johnson talking about black people and voter agency. Well, that's very strange hearing the word agency coming from Jason Johnson. Jason Johnson, whose mother has worked with both the FBI and local police. It's always amusing hearing the word agency coming from a man whose family members are card-carrying agents. And I'm still waiting for Jason Johnson to go ahead and tell us all how many black folks has his mother helped put in jail and for what reason. You want to talk about paid trolls? Jason Johnson is the epitome of the paid troll. He gets paid every time he does one of these little panelist spots on cable TV. And of course, because he's on television, the white media understands there's all sorts of ancillary and tertiary benefits that go along with that. Because he's on TV, he can parlay that into speaking gigs. He can also parlay that into columnists. doing columns and getting paid for that. There's a number of opportunities he can get just by saying, I'm on TV. If I'm on TV, I must be important because the white media says so. That's what he does. So there's your paid troll, family. And you can see who the hell pays him. At no point do black people's demands come up. Jason Johnson didn't say a word about that. I need you to see through the propaganda smokescreen that the white media is trying to put up. This WinBlack organization who came out of nowhere, and all of a sudden they got LeBron James support and such, and then the white media picks it up and says, this is an antidote to what Ice Cube is doing. This is an antidote to what you see there. Yeah, this is a propaganda piece, a PR piece. Meant to try to push back. Same thing that Oprah Winfrey did. Jason Black took out a billboard after Breonna Taylor was murdered. Here comes Oprah Winfrey waddling up. She's got the grease from the butter biscuits fresh on her flabby lips. I'm going to take out some billboards too. Flooding the zone. Yeah, flooding the zone indeed. And there's no accident that you got this white woman who is overseeing this segment. You got a white woman doing the overseeing. And these two Negroes nodding along with it. None of them pointing out, hey, it would be one thing if they had said, well, there must be a bunch of trolls. These black media types are trolls. But you know what? There are very real concerns about Joe Biden's record and Kamala Harris's record. And there is obviously a groundswell of black folks who are saying we demand something for our vote and we're going to tell them what the demand is. They're not going to tell us what they can or cannot do. They don't even go that far. As far as they're concerned, that's invalid. That's Russian propaganda. The entire point of that 5 minutes was to spend 5 minutes saying, if you hear any of these black media types saying that Joe Biden has been harming black people's interests, or any of these black media types saying demand something for your vote, if you see Ice Cube saying that black people ought to get something for their vote and our vote goes to the highest bidder, if you see those niggers saying that, you ignore them and make sure to keep an eye on your family too. If your family members are out there helping to spread the truth from the black media, you need to tell those guys that's all Russian propaganda. Yeah, because word of mouth is very powerful. That's how we grew. That's how we established ourselves, word of mouth, grassroots. But you see, these guys are not doing what we're doing. We're telling you, you don't vote unless there's something on the table. And what they're saying is vote with nothing on the table. They're not telling you what Joe Biden's going to do. They damn sure are not looking at Joe Biden and going, wait a minute, looking at Joe Biden's record, can black people really afford to believe anything that he says? The man spent 50 years attacking black people. He spends 50 years palling around with white supremacists and segregationists. This man turbocharged the prison industrial complex, which, by the way, disenfranchised hundreds of thousands, if not millions of black voters. Because once you get convicted of a felony, which Joe Biden incentivized the states to do through $13 billion of federal funds, once you have put a felony on somebody, they lose their right to vote. So there's your voter suppression. None of that comes up. This is not a nuanced discussion at all. White media loves using that word, nuance. Where the hell's the nuance here? It's just a straight, you need to ignore Ice Cube. We need an antidote for Ice Cube. What Ice Cube's doing is the answer. What Ice Cube is doing is the cure for black people being politically ignored. What these guys are peddling is the poison. Yeah, the black folks are starting to get inoculated against all of this white media propaganda. Black folks are getting inoculated from being on the treadmill to nowhere. And what we need the black folks to be reinfected again. We got to reintroduce the virus of just following what white power tells you to do. And we got to get a black face to sell the soap. If Joe Biden wants black people to vote for him so damn much, why doesn't he get out there and say it? Why doesn't he go ahead and say what he's going to do for black people? Because when you ask about the police, you point out Joe Biden said, I think the cops should get $300 million. Vote for me and the cops will get $1/3 billion. You know, just in case your city council or what have you decides to defund the police. So I want to know, what the hell is Joe Biden doing to argue his own case? Let him defend himself. Nah, we got to get a blackface to do it because Joe Biden, his record is too reprehensible. He's done too much damage to himself. We can't put these idiots out there. Black folks won't listen to him. Yes, says a lot about how much influence they think they've got. If Jason Johnson truly believes that LeBron James has greater influence with the kind of black folks who he is trying and failing to influence, then Jason Johnson shouldn't even have to say anything. They should just be sitting back and going, look at all this progress we're making. No, instead they're looking and going, damn. It doesn't matter how many black ball players we put out here. Somebody's getting black people to ignore the messenger and focus on the message. See, the reason that what Ice Cube did is trending is because Ice Cube it's not about the messenger. Yeah, Ice Cube's got the name recognition, but his name recognition carried a hell of a lot of importance here because of the message that he was bringing. See, the white media didn't give this kind of signal boost to Killer Mike and T.I. because they were saying the same old standard line. But Ice Cube, on the other hand, they have to shoot him down because they don't want this to become habit forming, because they know that there's a lot of black folks out there, even a number of black celebrities who the people in their circle. Now, I'm not saying about these black celebrities, and a lot of them basically they're on the cheese and croissant circuit. Too many of them are too far removed from us, but a lot of their entourage are not. A lot of the people who they have in their circle listen to us, and the message gets to them that way. And because of that, you got a lot of black folks, a number of black celebrities who they're waiting to see if somebody will put their toe across that line, waiting to see if somebody will say the stuff that we've been saying. You got a number of black celebrities who have been talking to Jason and Tariq and others. And that being the case, there's a lot of black celebrities who it would embolden them to see somebody who steps across the line and doesn't give a damn how many arrows the white media tries to shoot at them. That's the real fear here. Black celebrities deciding to use their high visibility to push true black empowerment. That's going to change the status quo. So Jason Johnson, he's an irrelevant troll. He's a white media troll. He's slamming his gums. Ain't nobody listening. He's got the butter biscuit crumbs on his rotund face. And I think it says everything you need to know. He's sitting there in a freaking pink shirt. That tells you everything you need to know. But I do find it very appropriate that the white woman who's overseeing this segment, she makes sure to give them both a pat on the head, because that's what they're there for. She gives them a pat on the head, and she makes sure, as a white woman, she works that white girl magic. Oh, she's praising this black athlete. This white woman praising a black athlete. Yeah, there's your pat on the head from the white powers that be. Make sure you get this white woman to say how great it is that you're selling the soap for white supremacy. That's good. Make sure that you're misleading your people. So you got this white woman patting them on the head. Oh, how great. Oh, how nice. You're some good little niggas. Here's a pat on the head. Thank you, Mrs. Polly. So yeah, make sure the black folks remember who their friends are. Fight only with your teammates. But your teammates are going to be the ones barking out the orders, and you'll just be taking them. And your teammates will be the only ones benefiting, because your teammates, they're not really on a team. Well, they're on team white supremacy. They're not on team black empowerment. See, that's the part that goes unsaid. Work against your people's interests, leading them back into the endless circle so they can wander in the wilderness for another 150 years. Making sure that black vote is corralled, but most importantly, you're attacking the black media. We don't want any more black folks breaking bad on us. We need to push back. We need a counteroffensive, because these black media types have been too effective at the grassroots level. So let's see if we can go over their heads. So WinBlack is not the only one. I gave you a rundown on Thursday with the Thursday evening address. Told you about She the People and of these other little front groups. These shadowy white interests who take their hundreds of millions of dollars because they've got enough money to burn, so they just invent these little organizations, put some black flunky out front and tell you, this is who's running it, this is who's in charge of it. You better be looking at where the money's coming from, because the money ain't coming from black people. And look what the hell it is that these guys want. They're not telling you how to empower yourself. They're telling you how to empower Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. No, we're not going to be getting away from this real talk. The people who have fought against our interests, both parties are going to be held accountable for what they've done. And we're not going to have any paid bootlicks or paid trolls like Jason Johnson who are going to be telling us that you're exercising agency by slavishly doing what it is that white power wants you to do. Agency is when you do what's in your own interest and you think for yourself. Going along with the same old, that is the very opposite of agency. But then again, Jason Johnson is an agent. So what else do you expect from him? Keep your eyes open. Make sure that you speak to your family members about front groups, these phony black front groups like WinBlack and She the People. You make sure you let these celebrities, people like LeBron James, need to know, hey, brother, this is not a good look for you. You're letting yourself be used. You're letting your name be used by sinister white forces in the background who do not have black people's interest at heart at all. People who are diametrically opposed to our interest. You're letting yourself be used. So I say that we turn the tables on WinBlack, or rather turn the tables on the black flunkies who are letting themselves be sock puppeteered by white supremacy. You make sure that you speak to your family members. You make sure that you monitor your family chat. And whenever somebody starts talking about, well, LeBron James, there was some story about LeBron James, you make sure you point out to them, do you know who the money is behind WinBlack? Do you know who these people are? Well, no, but LeBron James. I ain't asking about LeBron James. Of course you know who he is. He's a worldwide, well-known athlete. But I ain't talking about LeBron James wasn't the one who actually brought this to you. This WinBlack organization, they brought this to you. Do you know anything about them? Have you checked out who is behind them? Well, no. Have they told you what black people are going to get? Or are they just telling you ignore anyone who tells you that you should get something for your vote? Well, they said Russians and bots. Yeah, and trolls. We know about that. Jason Johnson's one of them. But do they actually tell you what it is that they want you to vote for while they're sitting here telling you who to ignore? Or have they actually told you what to vote for? Well, they said Joe Biden. If anybody's attacking Joe Biden, well, yeah, there you go. A thinly veiled ad for the Democratic Party. We're not interested in supporting the Democrats or the Republicans. This is about black empowerment and what we're going to get. And we're not going to allow any distractions at all, because you see, over here in the land of black empowerment, when you're B1, oh, we fight with our teammates all right. But our teammates are not some white guys with deep pockets who are trying to fool us yet again. Our teammates, they happen to be fighting not for team white supremacy, but for team black empowerment.